The 2024 ESPNW Women in Sports Summit is presented by Toyota. Welcome to the 2024 ESPNW Summit. I'm Christine Williamson. I'm so excited that you're here. We are here at the Ojai Valley Inn here in Ojai Valley, California, and it is a beautiful, beautiful time to be here. This is the third time that the ESPNW Summit has been here. There's going to be so many fun things that we're doing. I'll tell you all about it. Don't worry. Stay tuned. Those are the Topa Topa Mountains, which you can see from right here at the pool on the resort. Over 1 million people are watching and hanging out with me right here, but 320 people are going to take advantage of this amazing view. There are so many incredible things to do here. You can go golfing, you can go to the spa, you can go on a hike, but most importantly, we are here for the ESPNW Summit. It's going to be an incredible 3-day event. There are going to be so many great conversations, great connections to be made, and I'm so excited that you are going to join us for it. I think I want to go get things started actually right now. We have been working so hard for the last 24 hours to get everything set up out here in Ojai Valley just for you. Now, I figured before we get things started, we should sit down and talk to one of the most important people out here in Ojai. That is Rachel Epstein. Hello, Rach. Good to see you. So glad you're here with me. Okay, so a lot of people that are watching on the stream, they haven't been here in person. So for somebody who's never been to the ESPNW Summit, how would you describe it to them?
I often describe it as like the anti-conference, which was like one of the most important parts about it. We're really intentional a long time ago in going to spaces and creating an environment that feels like casual and allows people to relax and just take a breath. And what happens because of that at this event, I think really uniquely, is the conversations are fuller and they're more candid. And as a result of that, people share and the learnings are greater. And that's not just for in person, that's for the live stream audience. It's just, there's a way that we put it all together and the places we go, including this beautiful place, that allows people to certainly come in wanting to learn and engage and share. But it's really important they feel like away from their desk and not like stuffed in a conference room. Like everything we put together, I think, contributes to how distinct and special it is. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when I came out here, I really felt like I was on vacation. I was like, I feel so relaxed, so glad that I get to spend time with everybody that's gonna be out here today, have some great conversations. This is the third time that it's been in Ojai, right? Yes. 15th anniversary of the event, though. Yes. How would you describe the journey that ESPNW Summit has been on? Yeah, 15 is unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, it all starts with Laura Gentili. Always have to really acknowledge that she created this and this forum to have these. And over the years, you know, if I think about all the conversations and the best practices shared and the connections made and the important and hard discussions we've had, you know, throughout the year, it's almost been sort of a microcosm of the women's sports space, which is to say you could feel the growth each year. You know, there was this line that every year, like, this is the year for women in sports. Yeah. And there's always been some truth to it each year. And I just love that this event has sort of been ahead of those conversations. We are talking about the things that matter. We are sharing the ideas and these sort of the topics that people need to discuss and use to grow their own businesses and bring back to their workplaces. And over time, it has grown to this moment, which of course is, you know, the most fantastic, epic moment I think we've seen for women's sports and for women in sports, with more women in boardrooms and more women on air and women leading the charge. So it has really, I think, mirrored the growth of the space in general. And I love that we can offer that community, and we can keep offering that sort of exchange of ideas each and every year. For sure. Women's sports has taken off in the last year, so it's been great to see. Obviously, this is something that has kind of gone on and been able to grow in the same way. As you think about the summit, how do you expect it to evolve? Well, I think it's incumbent. It's our responsibility to sort of always look at the landscape and figure out what's next and what are the conversations we can have that allow the space and the people in the space to keep growing and driving sort of more change, sort of important change, right?
Yeah.
It's not always about growth. Sometimes it's really about change.
For sure.
I think we experienced that this year. We'll talk a little bit about that in our agenda this year. And I think even if we stick with the 3 summits we have, this one, our New York summit, we have a summit in Toronto with partners, and we're always thinking about what are the most important topics of the moment and bringing the people together that can share those conversations, then we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to ask you because this is an important space, and you guys, as I mentioned, this is the 15th year that the summit has been happening. So really, it's been ahead of the game when you think about it.
Yeah.
Why do you think a space like this is important?
Well, I mean, if you go back to like those early years, we really were the only sort of kind of event of its kind, and you had to just bringing the people together that cared, that were advocating, that were sort of demanding change and sort of creating these pathways for growth. Like bringing those people together was the beginning. Like that's just it creates sort of this virtuous cycle, right? And sort of exponential sort of idea growth, right? Because it just starts with the people that are willing to make the bet and make the change. And when you bring them together, you start to see, you get a head of steam in a lot of spaces and you start to see that growth. So I think that's been the thing that remains so important about this event over the years.
Yeah.
That we're bringing that kind of thinking and those leaders and different conversations to this space. And by the way, not just about women's sports, but about women in sports and all the issues and challenges that swirl around women in business, women in entertainment, women in technology. And so I just think that sort of expansive lens has also been really valuable.
Yeah, for sure. At the New York summit, I know that was my second time being at that summit, and it was just so good to have. Thank you. It was so good to have so many important conversations. I was crying on stage. We were like crying about just like how much we loved.
We always hope we get some tears.
That was the goal. You guys did it to me. But it's just so good to have people that are like-minded, that are working in a space where it's not typically, there's not that many women in a lot of the spaces that we're in. Yeah. So it's good to have conversations that are important and just support each other. And I feel like that the summit is a really good place to be able to just do that, just hold each other's hands and cry with one another. Yeah. It's so good. I
laugh about trying to sort of make people cry, which is not actually the goal. But what it does sort of show is that it's a safe space. Yeah. Right? Even though we do live stream it to a lot of folks, the environment we create, and I think the voices we bring together, the conversations we're willing to have, and what you shared about just your peers on stage and how they support you. Yeah. That's a piece of it, right? Like that kind of, I think, locking of arms and connection is a part of growing this space, creating more opportunities for women in sports, for women behind the camera, in front of the camera, right? So I just like, they're sort of my favorite moments because it means we're doing the right thing. Yeah, for sure. And I think the space cultivates, just like you said, a safe space and also an opportunity to grow those relationships with people that you might not have been able to have in other spaces. Okay, so obviously 3-day event. We're very excited to get things started. Who do we have coming and what conversations are we going to be having? It's hard to sort of pick just one, but I'm super excited for our opening keynote with Willoughby, sort of trailblazer in broadcast journalism. She's the dean of the Annenberg School of Journalism at USC, and now she's the owner of Angel City FC. And I think, as most people know, they acquired that team for the highest valuation ever in women's sports, and really sort of it's like a real marker and indicator of the category in general, right? So really excited to hear from her, and on so many different levels. We have a really interesting panel called Expansion Excellence on Tuesday. Really interesting, diverse perspectives from team owners and league executives that are launching or have launched teams in leagues. Again, that best practice sharing, super valuable. And then I'm not going to mention them all. I could mention them all. Yeah. I'm a little biased, but on Wednesday we'll bring some of our own talent. that have been in the WNBA for so many years to really have an expansive conversation about this historic season, but with like the perspective and the lens of having spent many, many years in the space and seeing the change and seeing the evolution, and of course celebrating all of the sort of wonderful highs of the season, but also some of the challenges and learnings that I think we all took from all of this growth that we had.
It's going to keep growing. We love it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Rachel. Good sitting down with you.
Thanks, Christine.
No pain, no gain. So I'ma grab them rings. And I'ma get those rings. And I'ma do my thing. Just slide all down. I'ma make me proud. I don't do it for the clout. I don't do it for the clout. Yeah, it's a vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe. Do what I want. Yeah, it's a vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe. Do what I want. Yeah, it's a vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe. Do what I want. Yeah, it's a vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe. Feels like it changes.
Today's live stream is brought to you by Google Pixel, associate partner of the ESPNW Women in Sports Summit, presented by Toyota. All right, it's officially nighttime. As you guys can tell, it's a few hours after that Rachel interview. That means we're about to start very shortly. So officially, welcome to the 2024 ESPNW Summit here in Ojai Valley. I am so, again, excited that you guys are here. There are going to be so many great conversations, and I mentioned it in my conversation with Rachel, but I'm so happy that we get to have these very important conversations and that you are here to experience them. I hope that you can feel all of the vibes from here in Ojai over to you. This is the first time that we've had a host on our live stream, so I'm very happy to be talking directly to you guys so that you guys can be a true part of this experience. And I cannot wait for all of the conversations that we are going to get to have. So the next voice that you hear will be Elle Duncan's.
Women in Sports Summit presented by Toyota. Please welcome to the stage ESPN Sports Center anchor and women's basketball studio host, your summit host, Elle Duncan.
Oh, no. You're supposed to let that music play for a minute. You know I need, there we go. Sorry, streaming audience. I need you to listen to the beginning of this song, okay? It's like a rave. There we go. Come on, y'all. Hey! All right, we're good. Hi, everybody. How are we doing? I understand that you guys have a full plate of food, so it's fine. I don't want you to choke. I just want you to say that you're so excited to be here. How happy are you to be here? Are we ready? Just to check the room, who's a first timer? First summit? Okay. Oh, wow. There's so many of you newbies we love. So I always talk about how unique an experience this is, and it truly is. There's nothing else quite like the ESPNW Summit, specifically the one here in Ojai. I mean, obviously the digs could be nicer. I kid. But mostly because of where we are at. And I am very, very intentional about my walk-up music. I think that not all years are created equal, but specifically that song is called She's Gone, Dance On. And the reason that I chose that is because I think it's actually a perfect encapsulation of where we are right now in the women's sports landscape. Gone are the days when we had to wait quietly for our turn. Can I get an amen? Hoping for an opportunity, told to just be grateful for whatever we get. Whatever you get, be grateful for it. Gone are the women who felt like they had to shrink themselves. Can you relate? Gone is the fear of being too bold, too ambitious. Who here has been told they're too passionate? They're just too close to it. Who here has been accused of being too much? Okay, well, clearly I have been. And that's actually probably facts, but still. But taking up space is why we are here, ladies. That's what's keyed this movement. Investments, conviction, foresight, temperance. And I think it is not hyperbole to say that the women on this lawn right now have reshaped entire industries. And I am so honored and proud to be amongst all of you. This summit every year serves as a reminder of where we have been and where we are going. And we strategize here and we collaborate. This is where we simultaneously flex off our business acumen and our kickball skills. Literally, someone tore their ACL last year trying to do that, you know. It gets real out here, I'm just saying. This is where we inspire, where we rally, and where we test our knees when Meg gets played. That's also going to happen. Meg the Stallion, are we familiar? Okay, perfect. I'm going to test you all too. Whether it is your first time here, your 5th time here, your 15th time here, I hope that you walk away from the next few days feeling supercharged and feeling celebrated. But most of all, I hope you walk away from here feeling seen, because that's what this is about. Thank you for your sacrifice, for your hard work. Thank you for your fellowship. But most importantly, thank you for your voice. Having a meaningful stake in this is why we are all here. It's how we move forward. Because you all have sacrificed so much, we now have a seat at the table. And something I was recently told that has stuck to my ribs: if you don't have a seat at the table, it is likely that you are on the menu. So thank you. Can I get an amen? So thank you for making sure that we don't not only have a seat at the table, but that at some point we will own the wood that the table is made of as well. All right? Speaking of sitting at the table, the next person I'm going to bring up holds a significant seat at a very big table. She's the Executive Vice President of Programming and Acquisitions at ESPN, and frankly, she has been central to so many of the recent sports rights deals that we have secured in the women's sports space. So, ladies and gentlemen, give a big Ojai to Ros Durant.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. How you doing? We doing okay? I sure hope so, y'all, because it is pretty perfect here, right? And for those of you who watch on the live stream, I hope it's great wherever you are too. Y'all, it is really, really good seeing all of you, seeing so many faces here. Thank you so much. Thank you for committing the time. Speaking of time, what a time, y'all. What a time for us to be here celebrating women in sports and celebrating women's sports, coming off of a WNBA final season that drew record audiences, right? Drew record audiences. I'm talking more than doubled the WNBA final viewers than just a year ago. And with the most viewed WNBA finals game ever on ESPN, ever. That was Game 5. Y'all, we are standing at a critical moment in the history of sports, where women's sports aren't just on the rise, women's sports are soaring at unprecedented rates. What we are witnessing is truly remarkable. We are breaking boundaries and we are shattering records. I think back to the very first espnW Summit 15 years ago. The year was 2010, and I'm just going to give you a little snapshot. Let me give you a little snapshot of what was happening in 2010, okay, for comparison purposes. In 2010, WNBA viewership on ESPN's networks averaged about 315,000 viewers per game. Not a single game reached 1 million viewers. Women's college basketball viewership, I'm talking not just regular season, but the tournament, averaged under 400,000 viewers. NCAA volleyball, semis and championship, had not a single match reach 1 million viewers. In fact, in 2010, the NFL had only 6 teams with women in ownership positions. How many with women's professional soccer? 3. Also worth mentioning that there were no teams, 0, in the NBA, in the NFL, in the NBA, or NHL with female coaches. Not a single one. In fact, y'all, only 20% of women 18 to 34 consider themselves serious sports fans compared to, let's just say compared to a lot of men. But y'all, those days are history. That was then. Let's talk about now. This time that we are all witnessing. How about this? WNBA viewership on ESPN's networks this past season, over 1 million viewers per game. Women's college basketball had 6 games with over 5 million viewers. How about that? NCAA volleyball, semifinals and championship, 1.3 million people tuned in. Women's College World Series has had over 1 million viewers each of the past 5 years. In fact, the 2024 finals shattered records with over 2 million viewers. How about this? Deloitte forecasts that in 2024, that is this year, for the very first time, women's elite sports revenue will surpass $1 billion. That's billion with a B, in case anyone is wondering. That is a 300% increase from just 3 years ago. And the NFL now has 11 teams with women in ownership positions. And 12 of the 15 NWSL clubs have female representation in the ownership groups. This past year, 5 NBA, 15 NFL, and 43 MLB coaches are women. So how about that? Oh yes, and 88% of females now consider themselves sports fans. 88%. That in the U.S. is half of the U.S. sports fan base. So there is that. And let us not forget the increase in women who are calling women's games and who are telling stories of women's games and who are also providing a female perspective to men's games. And do you know why? Because we know sports too. Am I right? But let me just tell you, none of this that we're talking about, none of this happens by chance. This doesn't happen by accident. This happens with intention. We choose to lead at ESPN. Half of the leaders that you're seeing here around our chairman's table are women, and that's not even all of us, but half of around the chairman's table are women. And then this last year alone, since we were last here together, women, let me just tell you what happened. We announced a brand new partnership with the NWSL. We announced an 11-year WNBA renewal. It's a relationship that began in the league's inaugural year. We were there from the beginning. We announced an NCAA championships extension with more games on ABC than ever before, and a 12-year extension with the USTA, the first sporting event to offer equal purses to its female and male competitors. So how about that? And in this past year, we programmed nearly 33,000 hours of live women's sports event coverage across our ESPN platforms. So I'm going to say it again, y'all. What a time and what a journey that we've all been on. We choose to lead. We have been here at ESPN since our earliest days, since our very beginning. And my commitment to you is that we will continue to be here. We will be here. We will be leading. We will be investing in women's sports and ensuring female voices are in our boardrooms, in our control rooms, in our studios, on the sidelines, and on the biggest stages. So as we sit here today, I think we celebrate. We celebrate just how far we've come, right? And we commit to continuing the work, because while we've made great progress, we can push women's sports to even greater heights. Thank you.
More eyeballs are witnessing the greatness that has been going on in women's sports.
And we just getting started.
Never seen it like this before. Whoa.
Women's sports are what everyone's talking about, what everyone is tuning into.
Bring the, wow.
Undefeated South Carolina.
I'm headed to Disney World.
The Norman conquest is complete with the historic 4-peat for Oklahoma.
In terms of driving TV ratings and ticket sales, there's no comp for her.
Can't stop. I bring the heat, yeah, coming in hot.
Nobody on planet Earth is playing better golf than Nelly Cordes.
Her 13th straight double-double.
Walk and move fast, turn heads. I said, yeah, what I said.
This morning, it's gold for the American women.
You know that you're looking at the best. It's best, man. Bringing the wow, making it count.
She's got the heart of a lion.
I love you guys.
All eyes today are on women's soccer.
Yeah, bring the wow.
Your 2024 U.S. Open Women's Champion.
I'ma bring the wow.
The superstar Marta with the rocket.
Bring the wow.
Asia Wilson with 1,000 career points.
Bring the wow.
Your national champion, Texas Longhorns.
Bringing the wow, making it count.
These women are ushering in new fans.
Straight from the jump, talk of the town. Yeah, I'ma bring the wow.
Wheeler with a chance here for Boston. And she scores.
I'ma bring the wow.
3 seconds left. Boston College wins.
Bring the wow.
This LSU team is unstoppable tonight.
I'ma bring the wow. Can't stop. I bring the heat, yeah, coming in hot. Hot. Bada bing, yeah, got it on lock. Lock. Look at me, I'ma show you what I got. Wow.
This is what can happen when you invest in women.
Bring the wow.
28 years in the making. The New York Liberty.
I'ma bring the wow.
Well, we love a good sizzle, don't we, Roz?
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
do.
Thank you again, Roz, for
Thank you.
everything, for your hard work, for making sure that we are going to be the leader in the
Absolutely.
future as we have been in the past. You're the best. Give it up for Roz, you guys. I may be dressed as Cher from Clueless, but I am not clueless as to how this actually all happens. I get it, you guys. It's fine. I'm 41 dressed like an 18-year-old. It's cool. I know why we're all here. Yes, because of all of you, but also because of our amazing sponsors. Someone's got to pay for these honey lavender drinks, all right? So I want to give a big shout out to our amazing sponsors who always support us, like Toyota, returning as our presenting sponsor for their 12th year. Thank you, Toyota. They're so committed, and our Everyday Heroes program is one of the highlights of the summit, so can't wait to bring that for you guys a little bit later tonight. Also, Gatorade, who's been a sponsor of the summit, you guys, since day one, 15 years. Thank you. For everyone that makes it to one of our sports activities, you're actually going to see Gatorade absolutely everywhere, and you're going to need it because it gets hot in these streets. So thank you to Gatorade. Google's back for a third year. Google Pixel, a sponsor. Where's the Google table? I see you, Google. What up? Tomorrow we're going to hear from Carrie Parent on Google's innovative use of AI and its impact on women's sports. Can't wait for that conversation. And Nike has joined us this year. It's so funny, too, because every year there's always like a note on the card that's like, remind people they can go get their swag. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the first thing people do when they get here is come get the free stuff. So thank you so much for hooking us up with the amazing attire. Nike, we love you. And we can't wait to sport your stuff. I always joke that, like, the first day I try to pull it out for you guys. You know, I get my cute fit together. By Wednesday, I'm just wearing, like, robes and Nikes. So it's fine. A few logistics for you guys. For the people on site, we want you guys to download the espnW Summit app. If you have any questions, if you want to know itineraries, who's speaking when, where are the activities, that's like kind of the go-to. Or you could just try to like chase one of us down. I just feel like it's easier on the app. So make sure to download that. And then everybody, we want you guys to post about the summit, hashtag ESPnW Summit. We put it there for you. One of my favorite things to do is kind of go back and look through. I try to very much be in the moment and fire some things for the neurons. So you're all living this experience for me, and we love looking at your pictures. So please make sure to do that. A big shout out to Christine Williamson, who's holding down our stream. She's hosting our stream. We love her. And one other quick programming change. We will not be having Elena Deladon tomorrow, but because we are ESPN and we can make it happen, we just figured, how about we just slide in an Olympic gold medalist in Sydney Leroux? So we will be joined by Sydney Leroux tomorrow from Angel City, and we're so excited about that. Other than that, I'm so excited to welcome up our keynote, speaking of Angel City. It's interesting because a few years ago, my very first summit, almost 6 years ago now, I saw Willoughby, who was doing a keynote then. And it's just such a full circle moment for me to have been in the audience like you, watching her from afar, and now to have an opportunity to share the stage with her. She's a broadcast trailblazer, as seen on NBC's Today Show, ABC's Good Morning America, ABC's World News Saturday, World News Sunday. She was an anchor for CNN, MSNBC, NBC News, and co-host. NBA Inside Stuff that just won the Kirk Gowdy Award. Hey. Please welcome to the stage, because now all she does is the Dean of USC Annenberg School of Communication and Journalism, and also the brand new owner of Angel City FC. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Willow Bay. Hi, Willow.
Hello, Elle.
Okay, so I'm going to do
That was
this.
an awfully nice introduction.
Well, I'm reading this and I'm like, do you have time to eat or sleep?
It just sounded like I couldn't keep a job.
Not true at
But
all.
it's been a long time that I've been in this career.
It's spanned a few years. I'm going to tell you right now, I've been trying this thing out lately, and I just interviewed Adam Silver. I know that's not really a humble brag at all, but I do this thing now where when I interview people, I write notes so that I can, do
While you're
follow-ups and
interviewing them?
Yeah, I know. It's a little awkward, right? It'll make a lot more sense in the end when I do a nice summary, but I just wanted to give you the heads up. I am paying attention to Willow, but I'm also
You're
writing
just
what she says
taking
down.
notes while I'm talking.
Just taking notes.
All right, we're
while
going to
you're
see how that
talking.
goes.
We'll see, right? I'm not going to look at you in the eye a bunch, but I promise you I'm listening. So I think it's really interesting, Willow, because you're kind of a reluctant speaker. Like, this is not, despite your long storied career in front of a television, this is not really your sweet spot. Why did you decide you wanted to speak?
No, and when you asked me this the first time about, why do you want to do this? I said, no, please be clear, there's nothing about this that I like. I want to do. I am a reluctant speaker. I would much rather be asking the questions and be listening to the answers. But then I decided two things. One is I'm 60 years old. I should get over it. And the other is that ESPN and espnW are so incredibly special that it is an honor to be here, certainly with you, my friend, but to be on this stage and to be sharing this experience with all of you. This ESPN has a special place in my heart and in my family life. My dad produced videos. He was the publisher of Field and Stream magazine for ESPN long time ago. And he instilled in me a love of sports. He believed that girls should play sports, that they should be sports fans. They should particularly be New York Giants fans. And they should, and they should grow up to do anything they want to do and be anything they want to be. So being here tonight, I walk into the hotel room and of course ESPN is on and it's the Giant game. So Dad, here I am at espnW with a sea of women, 88% of women today, I love that stat, are sports fans. And Dad, I'm going to give you all the credit.
That's amazing. See, another full circle moment. Incredible. Let that be a lesson to our allies in the audience as well, right? The men, instill that in your daughter. They can do anything that they want. And you seemingly have done literally everything. I'm just wondering, though, because I laid all the roles that you've had throughout your career. Do you see a through line there?
I think there are a couple through lines. One is that from a kind of professional or disciplinary perspective, oh my God, there are old pictures of me. You didn't tell me that was going to happen.
Look at that.
Oof. It was the 90s, everybody. Sorry. That my career has really been propelled by just a belief and a love of story, belief in the power of and love of storytelling, regardless of the theme and regardless of the platform. So that's been true everywhere I have worked, and now, as Dean of the Annenberg School, helping our students, develop their own power of storytelling and appreciation for storytelling. I've also had a front row seat to the evolution of media through all of its many twists and turns and phases, and also the evolution of audiences. And lastly, the other through line is really the power of an open door. I've been so fortunate to have had doors opened for me and have had the blessing of being in some cases the first, and in other cases some of the early few through those doors, and have had mentors and guides along the way. And that through line continues because now I understand the power of an open door and the power of what it means to open that door for someone else, or to be an ally and a guide on the other side. And I see that so much more clearly in hindsight and with the wisdom that comes from advanced age. So,
Not that at all. That's right. It deserves a clap. I'm interested too. Like when you talk about being a trailblazer, do you get to a point where you have to sort of question, is this the right role for me, or are you doing it just so that you can say you were the first to do it? Like you were the first dean of USC Annenberg. What drew you to wanting to do that? Was it so that you could continue to help young women in that role?
I've never been drawn to a job or an opportunity because of being the first. That just typically happened. It came along with the position. In the case of Annenberg, I had been in media my whole career, and I was at an age, it was 10 years ago, and stage where I was beginning to recalibrate the achievements, accomplishments, impact kind of metrics and continuum, and decided that it was a good moment in my life to adjust the balance. So when I went to work every day, I really, really felt like I was having impact. And that is certainly true of life at a university and life at the Annenberg School, which, by the way, has 74% of Annenberg students are women.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're doing that, and you're doing an amazing job and really building, Annenberg as a front runner in terms of communication schools. I know how that's important to you. How then did buying Angel City come about?
So buying Angel City came about really quickly, and it was kind of an opportunistic decision, and one that my husband and new business partner, Bob Iger, decided pretty quickly, but it was actually based on a couple of foundations. One was that I had followed the team from its inception. I knew the women co-founders, Kara Nortman and Julie Ehrman I knew from exercise class and didn't know who she was or what she did, but literally 10 years of 6 a.m. workout classes, and there was Julie. But I love business stories, and so I followed this incredible business story, founding this team to advance equity on and off the pitch. And watched how they did it year by year. And at the same time, my day job, right, at Annenberg, we've been expanding our sports curriculum, and I teach an experiential ed sports class. And I'd been searching for ways to make sure women's sports were centered. Lo and behold, we have this glorious startup in our backyard. So I started bringing students to visit there every year in May. And it became this extraordinary snapshot of the team as it evolved year by year, which was truly remarkable. So the students would have to study the business plan, and they'd have the opportunity to go to the offices and meet with the executive team. And every year I got a glimpse into their progress. And then, of course, was a fan and loved attending games and understood and appreciated the impact that they were making in the community. So all of that added up to kind of a greater degree of familiarity with the team than Bob had. And then you put that in the context of what we're all watching happen with women's sports. I mean, this is an historic moment in sports, period, full stop. It just so happens that history is being made right now by women's sports. Yes. And we were very clear about what I'll call the cultural phenomenon, and really thought it was a unique opportunity to leverage our resources and expertise to help accelerate the growth of the team, the growth of the league, and the growth of women's sports.
When I saw you over the summer, you guys had just purchased Angel City, and I told you what I'll share here, which is that my group text started going so crazy because it felt like for the first time in a long time, instead of sort of talking about how valuable women's sports were, you and Bob put an actual number on it. It's at a historic benchmark with the valuation, $250 million. Let's go. Yes. But I'm just interested in what informed that decision. How did you come to that conclusion?
I mean, by the way, bravo to the co-founders and the extraordinary players at Angel City that built this. Bob, really, truly. I mean, what they have done is breathtaking in 4 years. We're arriving to help accelerate, but let's be clear where the credit is, and the valuation rests on what they have built. I think that when we looked at the value, we thought about it in, I would say there were sort of 3 theses. One is impact, cultural, and then investment. So I think when you look at impact, we're clear about if we're investing our personal assets, that it needs to be a values-aligned investment. And when you think about what Angel City, the team, has done for the community of Los Angeles, it's also breathtaking. They have built a business model with commitment to community embedded in their sponsorship deals. So it allows them to dive deep into the community with real impact. I mean, in 2024 alone, 200 community events. I mean, next weekend we're going to celebrate with the sponsor DoorDash 2 million meals distributed to food insecure residents of the Los Angeles community. So when you look at the impact thesis, it's pretty hard not to have a sky-high valuation on the impact that they've been able to have in a short period of time. Again, cultural impact, what we've all been talking about tonight, and, Roz delivered the stats, but what is going on culturally is extraordinary in terms of attendance, people tuning in, ratings, dominating the conversation. There's not a place that you go right now that people aren't talking about, and not just women talking about, people talking about this powerful moment that women's sports is having. So that's the cultural thesis. This is the right moment to be really helping, again, accelerate the growth of this trend. And then when you look at the investment thesis, look, sports is depending on how you look at the sports ecosystem, a $2.5 to $3 trillion enterprise that is experiencing rapid growth. And when you look at women's sports, this is the most opportune area, I believe, for investment. Valuations are such that as sky high as Angel City is, it's affordable. And when you think about the new ownership coming into these leagues, it is throwing the doors open to new brain power, to new expertise, again, to help propel the growth of these sports. And every metric is increasing. So again, financial, cultural, and impact all added up to us being very comfortable with that valuation that, thank you very much, that team built for itself.
Yes. Certainly, though, when you talk about advancing something, you guys are great business people. So where specifically in the women's sports landscaping are you seeing the most growth opportunity?
So, one of the things I think about is, how unique women's sports are. They're not little versions or less valuable versions of men's sports, right? They have...
Thank you. Can you say that one more time? They're what?
These are not little versions of men's sports, and they are not, right, they are not lower valued versions of men's sports. They have unique trajectories and unique characteristics that I believe is precisely where the opportunity lies. When you look at, the audiences for women's sports, they are younger, diverse, educated. The audience is shifting from an emphasis on consumers to an emphasis on community. People feel great about coming together to support women's teams, to support women's athletes. The talent, it starts with the talent, certainly the talent that we see on the pitch at Angel City and with the NWSL, but across the women's sports landscape, the talent's breathtaking. And I've got the great fortune to be able to have a close-up look at the talent pipeline. in college, right? I mean, Juju Watkins is one of my students. So, like, I see what's coming, and let me tell you, it's every bit as breathtaking as what we're already watching. It really is. You know, in professional athletes that are currently, you know, on the pitch or the court or the rink. So, I think the opportunity to invest in players, the opportunity to invest, frankly, in talent development, both on the sporting side and on the business side. I mean, the need for talent, and particularly the need for female talent in these spaces, is massive. And I think that's really exciting for Bob and I to think about how we can help develop talent, again, on the business side. I won't pretend to help anybody's soccer development at this stage of the game. Yeah, I hear Julie laughing. Yep, Julie, we got you for that. Right. And then when you look at the business opportunities, look, I think the opportunity to bring big mainstream sponsors into this space and to follow the lead of companies like Elle, who have made a commitment to spending their marketing dollars 50% for men's sports and 50% for women's sports. I mean, there's a universe of big sponsors out there that should heed this call to action and join us in supporting these incredible women athletes in their careers. And then also an area that I'm kind of stunned by as an area of potential investment is merchandise. I mean, there are 9 items of men's stuff for every 1 item of women's merch. That seems impossible to me. Yet when you look across the merch ecosystem, it's hard to find, right? It's not accessible. It's not widely available. It's not discoverable. They run out of sizes, there are fewer SKU numbers, and on and on and on. And I think that is a massive area of opportunity for the business.
It's interesting too, because we've seen it, you know, in the past work so well with the W Orange hoodies and the WNBA and Together. Is there anybody from Together here? Anybody from Together? Okay, right. When everyone watches women's sports. You've mentioned Bob a couple of times.
You try to go. Sorry, but you go into a store and the store looks great and has great merch, and you try to find, okay, like I got to get my son some shirts and there's not sizes, or they have one style and not another style, and so there's so much opportunity to. Right, talk about a pipeline. Let's get that pipeline flooded with merch that allows us to buy what we want to buy, to wear what we want to wear, to feel like we belong to this enterprise, and not have to be kind of scrounging around through what feels like is left over.
Yes, and also maybe like a broader look at different styles, because like not everybody does want crystals on their shirt just because it's
really.
Right? Right. Not everybody does want rhinestones, but they still want to. You've mentioned Bob a couple of times. I have to ask you really quickly, because I love my husband, but we can barely even put IKEA furniture together. What's it like going from like life partner to business partner?
Yeah, I'm not sure we would do well with the IKEA furniture either. Really so how many anybody in this audience worked with their partners? Okay. So you should weigh in and give me some advice.
Her face is saying it all. She's like, she looks exhausted just by answering it.
It's actually been, look, I happen to be blessed by being married to Bob Iger, who knows a thing or two about running a business. So, and to have access to that expertise is astonishing. It's been super fun to actually see that up close. Because, I mean, you know, at your house, like, you're not talking about work a whole lot. Right. When you come home at the end of the day. So be able to just see the instincts kick in, to see the expertise kick in, and to basically have virtually any question answered instantly has been so cool and so much fun. And like, I think it's been, the reverse has also been true, because I bring a different perspective to the conversation as well. So we're at the very beginning of this journey. It's been cool. We're still married. So wish us luck.
Yeah, good luck. You say you're at the very beginning of the journey. I would be remiss to not talk about some of the recent news that Angel City's been involved with. The NWSL found that the team violated terms of the salary cap. And from what I understand, there's a lot that we don't know. Essentially, it comes down to an errant communication, right?
Sort of.
Okay.
So the team made mistakes, period, full stop. So I don't want to minimize
Sure.
it by saying it comes down to an errant communication. Made mistakes, we were sanctioned for them, moving on, and we will not make those same mistakes again. There was an errant communication that went out that the team received about how supplemental child care payments are categorized as in the cap or outside the cap. And the team believed they should be categorized outside the cap, and in fact, that was incorrect. But when we looked at this, when I looked at it, I think, wait a minute, how can supplemental child care that you're paying to moms on the team count against the cap and have that not be discriminatory against teams that have a higher percentage of mothers? These salary caps aren't, right? These salary caps aren't very large, and that's a meaningful dent in your salary cap. So it's clear that we need to raise this issue of supplemental child care and how it's calculated, and we will. And what has been gratifying is that raised it with the league. Players have raised it, and as you might expect, feel very strongly about making progress in the ways in which we support mothers in their lives as professionals. And allow them to come to work as full people, fully supported. And so I think there is consensus from the league, certainly from the owners in this case, and from players, that this is a conversation that we're going to have in the off season, because we think we can do better. In fact, we know we will do better at more equitable treatment of mothers and their childcare needs.
So you're essentially using this to implement change.
This is a silver lining.
Yeah.
This is a silver lining
Yeah.
to all of this. And again, been gratified at the responsiveness of the league to having these conversations in the off season.
And we're going to have a little bit of that conversation with Sydney Leroux tomorrow as well, who, as you probably know, has been very vocal as a single mother.
You are so lucky that Sid is coming here to talk to you tomorrow.
It's going to be great. I want to go just a little bit more the treetops and macro, Willow, with the few minutes that we have left. Just, I find that a lot of times at these events, I'll get asked questions about sort of how I find my voice, or difficulties that I've faced. And I'm just wondering if there's something that you grappled with earlier in your career that you've gotten better with as a seasoned vet, or that you're harnessing in a positive way.
I think I wind up talking to students a lot about imposter syndrome. And I think this generation, which is a real thing, but I think this generation of young people likes the syndrome label and likes to kind of diagnose things as a problem. And it is great to be upfront and vocal about all these things and surfacing these things. But I've tried to help them reframe it as not, okay, we're going to make you feel better, you belong here, and I promise this is getting to me in a minute. You belong here, it's all going to be okay. No, that's what we tend to do as parents. Like, we want to take the bad feelings away and make it all go away, and that's not actually serving our children or our students, our young people, or ourselves very well. It's, what are the tools that I need as a early career, late career professional to be able to understand why I belong in this place. And oftentimes it's an appreciation of what you've mastered and what firm ground you're standing on that has earned you the right to be here. As opposed to, oh, I don't need to feel that way. I'm special, I'm worthy. That's true. but that's not going to help you manage through this feeling of I don't belong. And understanding that foundation, what have I done? What do I do? What do I know? How do I know how to learn? How do I know how to navigate situations? Whatever it is in, again, walking through those open doors as, if not a first, feeling like a first because you're new, understanding and appreciating the mastery, what you have mastered and accomplished has provided you a foundation of support to have earned your spot here. I think it's just a more helpful framing. And to be honest, it's a framing that I use myself all the time. Right? What have I done to have gotten myself here? Well, you know what? I know that I can pretty much figure out any situation if you give me a minute, and that's going to serve me well here and there and there. And it just, for me, provides a stronger grounding than, oh, you belong because you're special and great and all the other things that, you know, we may tell ourselves or we may tell other people to make them feel that they belong.
I feel very attacked because I literally do that to young girls all the time. And I'm like, you're right, though. It's more of a pacification than it is empowering them to own and embrace that and use it to get better and grow and learn.
It's about figuring out what are the tools that you can develop that you can then call upon whenever you need them to power you through a situation.
Yeah. If someone called you a master of the pivot, you think that would be an accurate description based on all of the different titles that you've held?
No, okay. I don't feel like I pivot. I feel, because to me, pivot feels like a literal turn and go in a 180 degree different direction. I think, you know, has anybody read The 100-Year Life? Okay. So I highly recommend it. It posits, as we are living to be 100, we need to look at our lifespan differently. And that the traditional way of thinking about life stages is you're young and you study and learn, you're in the middle and you work, and then you get older and you stop. Well, when you're living to 100, I would argue if you're living till 85, those silos of activity and sensibility don't work anymore. First of all, you can't afford it, but more to the point, they just don't work for the way we live now and when we're looking at these incredibly long and rich lifespans. I mean, think about the way kids are today. They don't just study, they all have side hustles, they're entrepreneurs. We all know they're creators and distributors of content, right, in their lives on social media. So they don't live in that heavily kind of boundaried zone of this is my time to learn. Think too of the way we may navigate or maybe should navigate our careers. You know, as parents, sometimes we'll give ourselves the opportunity, if we have the luxury of stepping out of the professional workspace, to do something differently for a little while. But I think we should all be thinking about potentially our work lives a little bit differently. Do we need to take pauses, breathers, change directions slightly differently? And certainly when you think about, you know, the, okay, let's call it 60 to 100, like that's a rich, interesting time of life when we should be learning, when we should be working, and frankly, when we know that we have earned the right to do none of that if we choose to, and to kick back a little. And so I've looked at the career shifts that I've had in terms of learning, working, and down or up shifting depending on the time, you know, the time that I'm at, right? Which is why I thought about when I went to Annenberg in USC about kind of impact mattered to me more at that stage of life. And frankly, when I look at Angel City, that's a long, right? God willing, that is a long-term decision that Bob and I have made to support this team, this community, and the growth of women's sports. And maybe that's what I'll do full-time 10 years from now. Sorry, Angel City. Just warning you. It might be happening.
I like that, looking at it as upshifting, downshifting. Lastly, with about a minute left on the clock.
Do you read those notes when you're done? Do you read them back?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Well, because a lot of time, you guys say really amazing, impactful things, but I've just been in the moment and I've got mom brain. Anybody else got it? So I like to go back and sort of reflect, right, on like what you said. And so
That's great.
with that, I want to close with you doing a little reflecting.
Ugh.
What would be a word of advice that you would offer yourself now that you have the benefit of hindsight?
Use your voice. I feel like I'm reluctant in using my voice. I'm not reluctant in acting and doing and moving with intention, but I'm reluctant in using my voice. And I wish as a younger person I would have developed my voice and the confidence in using it much earlier. And I see that in today's young people. And I think it's extraordinary because they have a confidence in using their voice, and they have an incredible facility with all the technological tools at their disposal to make sure that that voice carries and builds community and builds action in the way that they want it to and hope it can. And that would be the piece of advice that I would have given myself earlier, so that I would have been a much less reluctant Elle Duncan guest than I was today.
Listen, sometimes I'm like, use your voice less. You're tired of hearing you. So again, in short, you guys, just a few of the notes that I took that really stood out to me. That her career has been propelled by storytelling, that she's had a front row seat at the evolution of not just audiences, but women's sports, that she's recalibrated when she went to Annenberg just so that she could have impact, because that's where she was at that phase in her life. Working with Bob as her business partner is going really well so far. Fingers crossed for you two crazy kids. That when she bought Angel City FC, it was all about the values-aligned investment, the cultural impact, and obviously the opportunity to make a community impact as well. Women's sports are not little men's sports. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
We need to invest in talent development, that business opportunities include big-name sponsorships and merchandising, 9 items of men's to every 1 item of women. Let that burn in your brain. That we are not serving our young women by pacifying them with imposter syndrome. We need to be empowering them. And that the traditional way of thinking about life is antiquated. We need to figure out how we want to not pivot, but downshift, upshift, and think of our life the same way that kids do, in some ways. Use your voice. And finally, your dad would be incredibly proud, Willoughby.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Elle.
you so much.
My dad would love you, Elle.
Oh, I would love him too. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Make it up for Willoughby. Thank you. Willow, thank you. You're the best. See, I told you it would be awkward, but that the notes were for a reason. All right. And now, as you see, they're furiously getting all of this stuff away from me. I have the pleasure of bringing up an absolute bright light. Anybody that's ever come across Julie Foudy knows she lights up a room. It's kind of unfair that she's so talented at absolutely everything. Of course, she's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and a 2-time World Cup champion, a soccer analyst, a host, and we were really fortunate to be on Laughter Permitted, her incredible podcast. Make sure to listen to that. So, one more time, make some noise for our Summit OG, Julie Foudy. Great job. Great job. Thank you. Hello, Willoughby. Willoughby. Come on. She was great. Thank you. That was awesome. That was awesome to hear. Can you hear me? I'm on. Thank you, Kenny. I have, full transparency, been wanting to do this Toyota Everyday's Hero segment for like 15 years. Well, maybe you've been doing it for 9 years. So, Spainer, thank you for giving it up, wrestling it from her cold, dead hands. I put my Toyota racer stripes on tonight. What do you guys think? Okay. I felt like it was very Toyota-esque. I don't know why, but I liked it. Colors, racer stripe. Maybe I'll get a car out of it. Who knows?
The reason I like this segment so much is because we get to get up close and personal with some of the work that people are doing in their communities. And they are out there, honestly, like spraying sunshine. That song you just heard, Cover Me With Sunshine, it reminds me of what these everyday heroes are doing. And we don't hear about them often enough. So I don't know if you guys have been to a lot of summits before, but this is the 9th class of Toyota Everyday Heroes. So thank you, Toyota, for honoring them. And if you have been at a lot of the summits like I have, some would argue too many, maybe. They had Nzinga Prescott a couple years ago, fencer, you may remember, fenced for the United States. She actually was founding her own fencing academy, obviously to teach them how to fence, but equally important, she was teaching them about community and schoolwork and helping them with community outreach. There she is, that she was doing. And then we had Liz and Megan about 5 to 6 years ago. They funded, you may remember, Girls Play Sports, and that was all about combating the issue, which we know is still a huge one, with middle school age girls dropping out of sports and bringing athletes, bringing coaches, teaching them sport, but most importantly, teaching them all these great lessons we learned from sport. So basically, it's a bunch of rad women doing rad things, and men. There are men sometimes, doing very rad things, kind of like the rock star I'm about to bring up right now. So please welcome, she is a 4-time Olympian, an Olympic silver medalist. We soccer gals call that white gold, actually, and BMX. A 3-time BMX world champion, which is tied, by the way, for the most world championships ever won by a woman. And as you will hear, her whole family actually helped build and volunteer their time to create this thriving BMX racetrack in their hometown of St. Cloud, Minnesota. She is also a Team Toyota athlete. Please put your hands together for Alise Willoughby. Let's go.
Hi, Julie. Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
You didn't get the memo on the red and black.
I know. I almost did, but I wanted you to take center stage here. I knew how much you wanted to do this.
Alise, I know you have had this phenomenal career in BMX, but I am also fascinated because often, as we know, young girls get into the more traditional sports, soccer, softball, whatever they're playing, volleyball. How did you get off the traditional path into a non-traditional sport, and how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I started, like most people, on a little BMX bike when I was probably, I was probably 4 or something, riding around with my older brothers. I have 2 older brothers, and I was already doing dance and gymnastics, and I did track and field as well, so I definitely did dabble. No soccer. My high school, one of my best friends, wanted me on the soccer team so bad because I was fast. I was fast, but no ball control. I was not a stick in.
I never had that either.
Yeah. But yeah,
overrated.
I don't know. I think you made it work. But so fortunately, I had 2 older brothers that I was always chasing growing up. They are 11 and 8 years older than me, so I was just always trying to keep up. And not only am I obviously a female in a very male-dominant sport, but in Minnesota, where it snows a good portion of the year, cycling, obviously, or BMX racing, it's quite an outdoor sport. So I guess the whole thing kind of doesn't really make sense. But I really fell in love with the sport. I always was super competitive. I wanted to be in the Olympics. I fell in love with the Olympics when I saw the Atlanta gymnastics team in '96 win the gold medal, and I was like, I want to do that. So I picked up gymnastics, started doing that, and then my brother, he started BMX with one of his friends in high school, and he told my parents, hey, I saw some other little girls out there, right? And I think Alise should try it. This would be cool, and then we can do it as a family. I think he just wanted the ride because I'm the younger one, so, my mom would take us then. But he said, this would be something we can do as a family, and I guess he liked bringing me to the track rather than going to my dance and gymnastics as often.
Much better.
So yeah, I tagged along, completely petrified when I started. I wouldn't go down the starting hill, which, mind you, like what you see on TV and in the Olympics now, we're dropping in off 8-meter tall starting hills. It's about 3-story building, and we're going about 40 miles an hour in that first 2.5 seconds. So it's pretty hectic what's going on there, but this hill that I'm talking about, I mean, it was maybe my hip height here. It was tiny, and I was like, nope, this is done. Anyway, so bailed out, chickened out of the race, wouldn't do it. My dad's like, hey, get the membership money back, you know? Like, I needed my Tuesday night golf league, you know? So we don't need to do that. But at the encouragement of my brother and my mom, went back the next week, fell in love with it. I got my first little trophy, got addicted.
It's always the trophies. They suck
me
you in.
Yes. And yeah, I fell in love with it. And honestly, it just became a whole family thing then. So we would travel. The closest tracks to me were about an hour away at the time. And so a lot of my good childhood memories were just piling in with my brother and all of his friends. And, you know, like I said, I'm 8 years younger than this brother, so I was just me in the back of the minivan with all the boys hanging out. And I knew I'd bring my girlfriends once in a while, and they'd come and hang out and cheer and ride. But you know, really, it was just a social thing, and I grew in it, and I didn't really expect it to take me where it has. I mean, I just did it because I loved it. Our family got involved. I know you mentioned we started Pineview Park BMX about a year in because my brother suggested. Again, it's just a couple piles of dirt. It's a lot more than that, actually.
Well, you guys are like, yeah, look at this. You're like moving mounds of these hills.
250 truckloads of dirt the original day that dirt got brought in. 250.
And this is like the whole family jumps in on this.
Yeah, that's me down there with all the boys that we went to the track with. Yeah,
look at you and your little pink with your trophies.
Oh, they've got trophies too. But I had a lot more trophies than my brother. My dad would always say, hey, and Nick's are on his nightstand. These are Alise's. But yeah, so it really became a family affair, and we would go to the track, and obviously Old Vandalized City Park became now what is a nationally recognized facility in St. Cloud, Minnesota. My dad operated that all the way. He actually stopped doing it. He's now the president of their board, but 25 plus years.
Wow. Volunteering his time.
Yep. So they taught by example to really go all in at something, you know?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you're like 8 years old, crushed in the backseat of the van with all the boys, and you're going to race, if someone had said to you, okay, you're going to be a 4-time Olympian, 3-time world champion, which is tied for the most ever with women, what would you have said to them?
I would have never believed you initially, but then I say that, but if I think back, I have this 4th grade time capsule that I wrote, and it said, I stumbled upon this a few years ago, and I opened the book, and it says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a professional Olympic BMX racer, or make a lot of money. So I knew it was a give or take. But,
it's always good to have that plan B in there.
Yeah.
Or just get really rich.
Yeah, that'll do. But yeah, I went with the first option, I guess. And yeah, so I don't know. It wasn't in the Olympics. BMX racing joined the Olympics in 2008, and like I said, I'd always been in love with the Olympics, with gymnastics, and I competed very heavily in gymnastics up until I was 18 years old. So it wasn't like it dropped out and I was just racing. But I did gymnastics, but BMX came on my radar for the Olympics, and I mean, I guess kind of like what Elle was saying about just being, or Willow was saying about being in the right place and kind of being in this inaugural generation that a door opened, and we're one of the first ones to do this. And I wasn't eligible for the 2008 Olympics because of my age. You had to be 19 for cycling at the time, and I was 17. But I was competing professionally already and against those women, and really saw a path there. So moved forward, and yeah, I guess I just really never had any limits set on me by my family. They were just always like, hey, let's see what we can do, and we'll support it as long as you give 100%. And fast forward, and like I said, been part of this inaugural generation of female BMX, which has grown exponentially since joining the Olympics and having that platform to share with the world, obviously. And
which is not easy, as Billie Jean King calls it, the first gen.
Yeah,
you come through. We were in soccer, she was in tennis, you're in BMX. It's not easy.
It's not, but helmet hair is cool. So we are making that a thing. But yeah, so
you are also, of course, a Team Toyota athlete, and so when you are looking at some of these everyday heroes that are honored, what inspires you the most, given, and especially your background with your family, volunteering and giving all this time to build this BMX park?
Well, that's the thing. These organizations and foundations, I mean, I'm so excited to be here for the Everyday Heroes spot with Toyota. I mean, not only do my values align with Toyota, and I'm honored to be a Toyota athlete, and the fact that they obviously believe in empowering women's sports and just supporting people and the freedom of movement as a mobility company. I mean, I firsthand know my husband suffered a C6 spinal cord injury and is in a wheelchair. And so nothing hit home more than when the alignment with Toyota came about with the Olympics and Paralympics and their support of those organizations and elevating women's sports, Paralympic sport, and just overall the belief that sport has the ability to bring the world together, and obviously great things can happen. Yeah,
Exactly. That's why we love it. We love it so much. All right, shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we pull them up, our Toyota Everyday Heroes?
Yes.
You have the honors of doing it.
I get to be the hero
You get
for
to be
the
the
heroes
host.
right now. So, for over a decade, Toyota has championed female thought leaders to drive change and opportunity for women in sports. Toyota's Everyday Hero program honors women who are working to promote and grow sports for girls and women in their local communities. These incredible women leave lasting impacts and have never settled when it comes to highlighting the importance of sports and young girls' lives. Toyota proudly celebrates women who create opportunities for girls and women to gain self-confidence and lead in their communities. Tonight, we'll see some of the incredible ways that Toyota Everyday Heroes help girls go places they never thought imaginable through sports. On behalf of Toyota, I'm pleased to announce the 9th class of Toyota Everyday Heroes, introduce our 2024 honorees, 23 honorees, and hear their inspiring missions. Let's take a look at the story of Morgan Crawford on the Moxie League.
As women, our identities are always changing. When I lost my basketball identity, I missed it, and the story was the same for countless women. So I wanted to create a space where they can come back, enjoy the thing that they once loved, and be celebrated. My name is Morgan Crawford. I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and I am the founder of the Moxie League. The Moxie League helps women reintegrate into the sport they love while also mentoring younger athletes on the rise.
The Moxie League makes me feel empowered, seen, included, honored, proud.
Being recognized by Toyota leaves me speechless. I do not have the words. I'm just in Mobile doing my thing, and for them to see the impact that I'm making in my small community, it means a lot.
Morgan, from Mobile, Alabama, has been a beacon of empowerment in her community through her work with the Moxie League, an organization dedicated to fostering confidence, leadership, and teamwork in young girls through basketball, mentoring, and skills, as well as career mentoring. The Moxie League is a unique platform that combines athletic competition and one-on-one mentorship, offering a diverse community where pros, collegiate stars, former college players, and enthusiastic amateurs come together to play, grow, and inspire. Morgan's passion for sports began at a young age, and recognizing the disparity in opportunities for girls, she founded the Moxie League to bridge that gap. The organization offers a variety of sports programs that focus not only on physical health, but also on mental and emotional well-being. Morgan's tireless efforts have created a supportive environment for where girls can thrive and develop life skills. I'd like to welcome Miss Morgan Crawford up to the stage.
Yeah!
And congratulations.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Next, let's take a look at our next honorees of Tam and Brett Donelson in The Cycle Effect. I can relate to this with cycling.
When I ride my bike, I have a sense of freedom and playfulness and empowerment, and I want every girl to be able to feel that. I'm Tam Donelson.
And I'm Brett Donelson.
And we are the co-founders of The Cycle Effect. We started The Cycle Effect in 2013. Our goal is to get girls on mountain bikes that wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity, from 11-year-olds to teenagers to grown women.
We're currently working with about 1,000 girls throughout the different counties in Colorado, and we're hoping to triple, quadruple that in the upcoming years.
The Cycle Effect makes me feel strong while I'm riding a bike. Proud.
Empowered.
Competitive and happy. Like I can do very hard things.
Being recognized by Toyota means we get to reach so many more girls in our future.
And being named as an everyday hero means that we're doing something right.
You are.
Tam and Brett Donelson co-founded The Cycle Effect with the mission to empower young women through mountain biking. The Cycle Effect is a nonprofit organization that focuses on providing opportunities for underserved girls and experience the joys and challenges of cycling, fostering resilience, confidence, physical well-being, and a sense of community. With year-round programs in the Eagle region, the Cycle Effect provides bikers gear, transportation, bilingual coaching, and low-cost programming to eliminate the barriers to entry. The organization champions equity by serving female-identifying and non-binary participants with a focus on Latina, BIPOC, and low-income individuals. Brett and Tam's dedication has not only introduced many girls to mountain biking, but has also helped them build the confidence to overcome personal and academic challenges. Please welcome to the stage Brett and Tam Donelson.
Yes! Congrats. Oh, amazing.
Who knew cycling could give you such great arms?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
On behalf?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have maybe one more thing to tell them, Alise?
I do, and I'm really excited about this. Obviously, I've had the pleasure of being with Toyota and feeling their support, and I hope you guys are feeling that today as their everyday heroes. And I am thrilled to present you both with $15 grant from your friends at Toyota to help further support your missions. So
$15,000.
$15,000.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Alise.
Yes.
Let's go. Come on. $15K in the house.
That makes a difference.
Thank you, Team Toyota.
Yes.
Our everyday heroes.
All right, that's amazing. Morgan, let me start with you, if you would.
Sure.
I want to know how you got the name the Moxie League, and what was the inspiration to starting it as well?
So
it's such a sweet name.
Yeah. So honestly, the name is a nod to the woman who gave me my first college coaching opportunity. Obviously, I'm fresh out of school. I think I know a lot. I know nothing. And she constantly drilled that into me. And so...
Who is this coach?
Her name's Christy Thomas Gutty. This was at Emory University. So it wasn't until I got into the thick of my own personal journey that I started to understand what that meant. And the word just represents courage, determination, resilience. I mean, it really captures the spirit of boldness and grit that you need to do anything worth doing. And so I carry that with me daily, and I wanted the league to embody those traits. And so that's where the Moxie League came from.
I will say that someone knew Coach Christie.
Oh.
And so we might have done a little recon.
Yeah.
And Morgan, Coach told us, would rock a 10-hour shift at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, my God.
throughout the night.
Yeah.
And then come in and coach the girls because she was so passionate about being able to pass on her knowledge to these young women of basketball.
Yeah, that's crazy. You went deep. I really did.
I run deep. We come deep.
Yeah, and so the inspiration, people always ask me, what is the Moxie League? And I can say it's just a basketball league, but it's not. Basketball is just a small piece of what we do. The Moxie League is really a grassroots development system where we create lasting connections. We do mentorship on and off the court, and we provide a support network that extends into their individual and professional lives. So it's really a testament to the women in the league that show up and support the local businesses, that show up and support and creates, more visibility, and it just highlights the importance of women's sports.
Oh, I love it so much.
That's amazing.
Tam and Brett, you two have coached many different sports, and yet you decided to start this nonprofit based around mountain biking. Why was it that you chose that sport?
Mountain biking there's just a sense of freedom to it. And there is this unique
fitness, the physical side, and then the mental side as well. So working on fitness or working on skills. And there was a part of our community that we could see that just didn't have access to it. And I was just gutted and thought that that was just such a shame, because there's nothing more on my, like, I love riding my bike. There's this sense of freedom and empowerment, and we wanted to make sure that everybody had access to that.
Yeah, I love it. Brett?
First, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Two things for me, like we live at 8,000 feet and our mountains go up from there. So they're serious mountains, and our girls, like we teach them there are mountains everywhere. And no matter what you want to do, you probably have to go up a mountain to do it. And so if, there's a downhill, there's a cool view, something's at the top, but mountains are always coming, and learning how to deal with them is really important. And then the second thing I think is, when they're going up the mountains, you can tell the girls are really struggling because they're looking down and they're not really breathing that well, as opposed to the girls that are more confident. And they're looking.
That was Alise at 8 years old.
They're looking ahead. They're
help.
Yeah, they're looking ahead. They're looking up towards their goals, and they have their breath under control. And I think that if we can teach them those things, and I've never been a part of a sport that's taught that, like it's just so metaphorical for so many things in their life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you look at over 1,000 girls that you have actually impacted, because you're in counties all around Colorado, and I know you've been doing this how many years now?
11.
11 years. Yeah. Okay, so could you pick, I hate to do this to you, I'll give you one each, your favorite story in terms of impact that you've seen with those girls in the 11 years?
I would say one of our first athletes, Coco, and if it wasn't for those girls that kind of stuck to the program, we wouldn't have a program. Coco would go to school with bumps and bruises and scrapes and show them off. And I'm sure for her quinceañera, her mother was like, this is not a good idea.
She needed a Band-Aid sponsorship.
Sure.
All right. But they told a story, and she was always so proud of the adventure that went with that scar. Coco was the first in her family to go to college. She has a master's degree, and she's now on the board. And she's
of your nonprofit now?
Yes, she's on the board, and she's essentially Brett's boss, which she's really digging.
That's full circle.
Yeah.
We had a young woman at the very, very beginning, Coco's time, and she was always the slowest. And so we'd take off from our parking lot, and we'd go up these huge hills again, and 2 minutes into it, she'd be way off the back. And I'd always try to ride with her and make her feel better, but like there's just nothing worse than kind of being off the back and having the group go. And so one day I asked her, I said, hey, Jackie, like, why do you keep showing up? Like, this is obviously really challenging. She had a bunch of other life things that she was dealing with. And she just said, a couple years ago, Brett, you had said you were proud of me. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that. Mm. And so, so Jackie said, I want to keep riding my bike, and by state championships, I want to qualify for states, then my parents will show up and tell me they're proud of me too. And so, we had a hard time launching this nonprofit for sure, but it's like that was the story that we kind of clung to for a long time.
Oh, so good. So
that
good.
Opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, and then finally, with this $15,000, Morgan.
Yes.
What are you thinking? Like in terms of how we're going to use it, what we're going to do? We're going to throw a party.
We will. Right in Mobile.
I'm coming.
Yeah, you should, Julie. You're invited. We're excited about the future of the Moxie League. Incredibly excited. We're growing at a fast pace. Obviously, we want to extend our reach. We want to expand into different cities. If you guys don't know, Mobile is on the Gulf Coast. So we're West Florida, all the way on that panhandle. Mm-hmm. And so we want to expand cities, and we want to hire staff because we're growing, and we need the resources to support our growth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Good timing. Yeah. What about you, Tam?
100%. Same thing. Grow. Just, new counties, serve more girls, make more change.
And hire more amazing women coaches to coach the girls.
Yeah, exactly. A big round of applause for these three. Morgan, Tam and Brett and Alise, and to Toyota Everyday Heroes and Toyota for doing this, as we said, their 9th class, supporting the community and supporting the people in it. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all your great work.
Your 17-year-old. How amazing was that? Also, Julie just whispered on my ear, "Sweetie, you don't look like a 17-year-old wannabe. It's okay." I'm like, "Thank you, I do. It's fine." You guys, that concludes day 1 of the ESPNW Summit. Full disclosure, we take it easy on you the first night because we know everybody's been traveling and there's maybe like some jet lag sitch. I expect, as I see a few yawns, I expect tomorrow you will be partying with us, okay? The Tuesday night party is kind of a thing, and I'm just saying, right? You're going to be very shocked at what some of your coworkers can do. I'm just going to leave it there. A couple of morning reminders before we let you guys go. We're going to kick off tomorrow. Remember that we'll have breakfast, and then programming will start right here at 9 a.m. And we have our morning keynote, Alise and Felix, which I'm very excited about. And then you'll go to your morning activities. A reminder that all of those activities are on the various screens across the property, but also in the app. So a reminder to go ahead and get that app. If you are hiking, okay, and I need, for those of you that are hiking, to identify yourself, you need to be at the main entrance at 6:30 a.m. Okay, you guys are called the overachievers of the summit. So I look forward to hearing about the hike when I wake up at 8. So I love that for you. And also remember that, like, literally, you guys, the summit staff is here. There's signs everywhere. If you're lost, seek help. Someone will point you in the right direction. And again, breakfast, 8:15, right here on the lawn. We look forward to seeing you. We will have like cocktails and stuff up here, but there's no pressure. Do what you feel. We'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be a great day. And thank you so much. Thank you to the streaming audience as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching the ESPNW Women in Sports Summit presented by Toyota. What an amazing day it has been to kick off the ESPNW Summit. And as you saw on the stage, I'm now with Morgan, Brett, and Tam after just receiving their awards. Congratulations, guys. That's so awesome. I'm so glad that you guys chat with me for a little bit. Morgan, the words that stood out to me just in what you were saying up there, confidence, empowerment, mentorship. How do you think this award and everything that you've been recognized for will help you move that forward?
Right now,
how would you describe your journey to this point? That's a deep one.
Yeah. Challenging, fulfilling, empowering, knowing that what you always were doing and passionate about, like, let it be yours, let it carry you. Yeah, just sweep the fear from your heart. Just as much, like, if you need, you can go there. If you see what you want, then go there.
And Brett, now that you guys are getting this recognition, people are getting to hear your story a little bit more. What do you hope that people learn about what you guys are doing?
Sure. Since the beginning, we knew that getting girls on bikes changed their lives. And so we've always been passionate about just getting as many girls on bikes as possible. There's a lot more girls out there that aren't riding bikes. So, we're just looking ahead to more growth and getting more girls on bikes. It's pretty simple.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much, and congratulations again. Yes. Enjoy. Yes, of course. All right, guys, that was a beautiful day one. As you know, we have 2 more days coming up tomorrow. You do not want to miss these 2 panels. Expansion Excellence, hosted by Sarah Spain, and a must-see keynote conversation with 11-time Olympic champion and entrepreneur Alise Felix with Judy Foudy. It's going to be so good. I'm so glad that you guys got to hang out with me today. And of course, we will see you bright and early tomorrow for day 2 of the ESPNW Summit. Today's live stream is brought to you by Google Pixel, associate partner of the ESPNW Women in Sports Summit, presented by Toyota. We will see you guys tomorrow.
People always say,
it is what it is.
Until it isn't. Remember before AI when you had to type to search? And when you couldn't ask your phone to do this?
Put these restaurants on a map.
Huh. What about taking a photo and reimagining it? Man, remember when all phones pretty much did the same stuff? Until they didn't. Introducing the all-new Pixel 9 series with Gemini.